On this week's episode of Fabbin Adventures, we have a drone to review. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Fabbin Adventures, guys. Here we have a odd video for my channel. Channel is typically a fabrication 4x4 channel, but these guys contacted me. It's Bwine. The drone is a F7gb2 drone, and I tried to get out of this video a little bit. I didn't really want to review a drone, but they insisted that I try it, and I had a DJI Phantom Pro 2, I believe, drone in the past, so I was a little bit familiar with drones, so I agreed and got this little thing and started trying it. I got it about a couple days before we did our annual jet boat trip. It's a fairly remote trip, next to no cell service, no power transmission lines, none of that stuff to interfere. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to maybe get some cool jet boat shots, and maybe around the fire and some late evening, early morning shots and whatnot. But I was not impressed with this drone. You stick through the rest of the video to see why, but there's quite a few things that I don't like about it, and yeah, it's not a DJI. So let's get into the rest of this video, and you'll see whether this thing is worth buying or not. All right, so here's the drone. It's been landed hard and fallen over, tangled up in the grass and whatnot. You'll see that later on, I believe, in the footage. But first impressions, I thought looked like a pretty nice little drone. The bag that it comes with, like everyone says, is really nice, and I agree. The bag is really nice. It's got a spot for your controller, spot for the drone, your manual. Came with 2 batteries, and it also came with a bunch of extra blades, or a set of blades. The first thing I want to say, though, is that these batteries seem to take forever to charge. I know the manual says it's 6.5 hours, but it seems longer than that. I never timed it, but it takes forever to charge these darn batteries, and then you get, you know, maybe at best 20 minutes of flight time out of them. So that, to me, that kind of sucks. My DJI charges up way faster than that. I got 3 batteries for it. And by the time you kill the 3rd battery, you could be flying with the first one again, you know, so that's a major drawback as far as I'm concerned, how slow it takes to charge up. But then again, remember, I'm not a pro at flying these things. I'm not a pro at reviewing these things. My channel doesn't revolve around drones or electronics. It's a fabrication, welding, 4x4 off-roading channel, really. So take my review as you will. What I did find was it was relatively easy to set up, to get your phone, download the app, turn the drone on, turn the phone on, and get it flying. It does go into a beginner mode, which is kind of annoying, and you got to turn that off before it'll let you fly any further than 30 meters high and 30 meters out, I believe. But other than that, at close distances, controls and everything, it flies fine and whatnot. But what I did find is that there's quite a bit of lag time from what the drone sees to what I see on my phone, and that makes it really hard to focus the camera, you know, down on something. If you're flying over, say, like a jet boat, for instance, or vehicle off-roading or whatever, and you want to try and keep that boat or that truck in center of your screen, it's really hard to do it because you shoot past, and then you shoot over, and you shoot past. So what I ended up having to do was just quick little zips on it to try and get the camera down to where you want it, but then it's not nice and smooth. One of the other problems I encountered was it was telling me to reformat the card. So I put it in my computer, reformatted it just before we went on our jet boat trip, and took off and got there and was flying around, and I didn't even notice the red reformat card on the screen, on the app, and so it never recorded any of our jet boat footage onto the card itself, only onto my phone, which is not that great of footage. I found out later that you actually have to touch that little red reformat card on the screen, and it brings you into a separate page on the app that you can reformat the card, and then it works. Then it records to the card. So no problem of the drone itself, more my misunderstanding or not thoroughly reading the manual. I mean, it was only a few days before we went on our jet boat trip, and I was busy, getting the boat ready and all our stuff, whatnot. So that there is kind of my own fault, but whatever. The first time I flew it up. I kind of circled around the island. We camp on an island on a river, and got it flying, seemed okay and whatnot. So then I figured, well, let's try and get some cinematic shots. I only got so much battery power. So I flew it down low to the river, and we got this little spot at the upstream side of the island where the water cascades down some rocks a little bit of a chute there to run the jet boats through, have a little fun. And so I got it down, a couple feet off the water, flying it real slow. And everything seemed fine. I didn't really realize that it was lagging from what the drone sees to what my phone sees. But all of a sudden I seen a bunch of splashing water as I was getting close to that cascading water spot. And I seen all that splashing water, and I immediately flew it up and brought it back to camp, which was only like 150 yards or something like that. Landed it, and it was dripping water. So what had actually happened is I was flying along the water. Obviously the water cascades down over a period of time, but I was flying along the water. This obviously was having a bunch of lag, what I was seeing, but I was in the water before I seen it on my screen there. So it was actually in the water. I don't know how far in the water, but I flew it up right away and got it out of there. Everything still works. I don't know how deep it was under the water there, but I think it was luckily I got it up just in time. My DJI that I have, I never noticed no lag on that at all. It was always good. Even when I flew it out at fairly long distances. I mean, I've flown that thing probably a mile out where you can't see the drone at all no more, and it performed flawlessly. So I eventually gave up trying to record any footage and on our island, on our jet boat trip, and just tried to enjoy the trip itself. It was frustrating and whatnot. So a couple of weeks later, I figured I'd give it another try here in a cut block. I drove to a cut block, flew around, and just tried to video different cut blocks and just to see how it would perform. And at about 100 meters, your lag already started to happen. At 300 meters, it was quite a bit of lag. And at 1100 meters or so, it got to the point where it was unusable, where, you would try and pan all the cut blocks, or if I wanted to try and focus on a log pile down below as I was flying over, the camera would either be too high or too low or back too high. So you had to just tap the button on there to make the camera go down. So then you lose that smooth cinematic footage to be able to try and focus on. And the other thing is when I was out at 1100 meters and you're just trying to pan, you'd be turning on your controller, and the next thing you seen, you were way past where you wanted to be. So then you would try and swing back, and you're way past the other way. The lag is just incredibly slow at that distance to where it's basically unusable. So I gave up with that, and I figured, well, let's try some of the features. Let's try the follow me feature. The follow me had a limitation of 3 to 5 meters, so that's not near high enough to get above any trees that might be in the way. This thing has zero obstacle avoidance at all, so you kind of don't want to hit the trees. So I opted to try the GPS follow. Now I got my truck on the road, I got the drone hovering pointed in the same direction as the truck. You have a 50-meter height. Yeah, you have a 50-meter height. So I brought it up 40-50 meters, put the camera down, centered the truck in the image on my phone, and started driving. As soon as I hit the GPS follow, the drone went from following the truck like this. It instantly turned like that and started flying at an angle. So that put, you know, if you're looking at your phone screen, that put the truck up in this little corner up here, and it was flying cockeyed and whatnot. And I understand that it's just following the GPS, but why it rotated off like that. And even when I flew this to the 50-meter ceiling, it still couldn't, it was so far out that it couldn't keep the truck in the screen for very long, and it lost it. So then I thought, well, that's no big deal. I'll just correct it a little bit with the controller, you know, could correct it or rotate the drone so you could get the vehicle back in the screen. And when you touch the controls like that, it cancels the GPS follow, which that's really annoying too, because I mean, what good is the GPS follow if you can't adjust it here and there and keep your image in the screen? All you're doing is seeing the ground or whatever. I suppose you could put it out straight ahead and it would just fly or whatever, and you would see imagery. But for my purposes, 4x4ing and wheeling and stuff like that, you maybe want your controller sitting on the seat beside you and driving if you're solo, and then just make adjustments every now and then to get your vehicle in the screen for that shot that you're after. And you can't do that. That is super annoying. Also, with the GPS follow, I put it on me, I let it follow me, I don't know, it must have been maybe a mile and a half or something like that. And I had been using it for a while, so the battery was getting down. And it dropped to 33%, and it went into auto return to home, which would have been a mile and a half or 2 miles back down the cut block. And I tried stopping it multiple times, and you can't manually override that auto return to home when it does it because of that battery voltage. From what I understand reading the manual now, if you return to home on your own, you can stop it. If it returns to home because it loses hookup, it will re-hook up when it gets within range, and you can stop it. But if it auto returns to home when the battery voltage is low, you can't manually override it and just land it right where you're at. So if you're wanting to use this for a follow me feature like I was, and darn thing auto returns to home and it doesn't land anywhere near where you took it off from, now you're looking for the darn thing. And where I found it was wound up in the grass, probably 10 or 12 feet or something like that away from where I took it off, and it was wound up, and there was grass wound up in the rotors, and it was all bound up in the grass on its side like this. And luckily I at least found it so I could get my footage back. But it really disappointed in the unit that way. I wish you could manually override that and you could land it. I could have stopped the truck and landed that thing right behind me, no big deal. So that was super annoying. What if I had done that with a jet, took the boat, or what if I had took the drone off from the back of the jet boat and we went jet boating, and having that thing follow, when it did a return to home, it would have landed in the water and it would have been toast. So that is a really, really dumb feature as far as I'm concerned. The other thing I found was with the manual landing, the DJI drones, they come down fairly fast, they get close, and then they slowly come down and they land really nicely. This one just comes down, hits the ground, bounces, monkeys around, and it eventually lands. But if your ground is a little uneven, if you took it off the dirt road in a cut block and it hits a little bit sideways, it tips over and it grinds away at the ground until it finally stalls out. And I had it one time where it stalled these two rotors out. These two were still spinning because it was on its side like this, and I thought, well, the motors are probably cooked now, but it must have some circuit protection in there, and next time I fired it up, it did fire right back up, and it's flown normally since. So that's at least a bonus to it. So that's all my troubles that I had with it. I'm gonna fly it again here today. We'll hook up the controller, we'll get her flying. We'll try and make some flights through the backyard here, just close, and see if I can recreate some of the stuff and show you guys. All right, so here you can see it wants. Click on that. We'll delete all the contents. And I had already formatted that on my computer so that it'll record. But anyhow, let's fly this sucker. Let's take off. There, she's flying straight now. Okay. Now it's flying straight. We're going to attempt to fly through the gap. And record. Whoa, where's it going? It's just plain ass flying up. I'm not sure what just happened here, but it's just going straight up. And it's struggling with the wind up there. It's returning to home for some reason. But it is struggling with that wind up there. It's doing whatever it wants to do. Holy hell. Wow. Well, let's try the return to home. It's not doing nothing. I don't know what I can do. It's not doing nothing. See that? I'm pulling straight down. It is not doing nothing. It's just doing whatever it wants to do. I cannot control it at all. That sucker's just, it's doing circles above me. It does not matter what I do. It will not come down. Return to home is not doing nothing. This bad boy is going to do a circle above me till it crash lands. I have no idea what's going on here. I'll get this sucker to come down. You may be watching the first live shoot down of a drone. We'll bring this baby down one way or another. It is way too high, but what I don't want is for it to come out of the sky and land on one of my vehicles or something. I'll just keep pressing down and see if I can bring it down to a lower level. But all it's doing is gyrating round and round and round above me, probably at max height, or yeah, it says the height is 3.3 feet, but it is not coming down, and I don't want to shoot straight up because of where the pellets might land, and I've got houses over that direction about a half a mile. Over this way I could have pellets come down, it's no big deal because I got no housing over there, but I don't know if it's recording or anything. This thing is just stalled right out. It's still showing me that I'm over there at the grass, or it's still showing me that I'm over here, but I'm straight up above going round and round. It doesn't appear to matter what I do. Doesn't shut the motors off. I don't know what this emergency stop will do. We're going to attempt to shoot her down. Why? Why not? She's apparently going to fly until it runs out of juice. And at that time, when it comes down, I'm going to try and shoot it again. Now it's quite a bit lower. There we go. I just shot it out of the air. It hit some trees over there. I just heard it quit running. Let's go find it. All right, so I activate my find my drone. Be right around here somewhere. That will be about right where I seen it hit the tree above, unless it stayed up in the tree somewhere. Oh, here it is. Well, there it is, the Bwine F7gb2 5 12 gauge, whatever you want to call it. Looks like I clipped a couple of rotors with my 12 gauge and I brought her down, broke the landing gear, all to shit. I wouldn't recommend buying one. I wonder if it'll fly again. Let's go try. It was getting some good flight time too. But it's no good if you can't control it. Blades back on. It appears that we lost the camera. I want to go over there in the grass. I'll go look. It's having trouble, folks. Let's see if she'll take off. Automatic takeoff, engage. No way! Oh! 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 Woo! It appears that the gimbal does not work no more. Let's try again. And take off. Well, well, I'm thinking this quality piece of electronics is not worth your couple hundred. It ain't worth 50 bucks. I wouldn't have gave this away to anybody, and I couldn't in good conscience sell it to nobody, so it's a fitting end for this piece of crap. Let's see if we can give this thing one last hoorah. I don't know if I'll be able to throw and shoot, but I'm gonna try it. That's what it deserves. See you later.